All right, what's up, everybody? And we're back. Just
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Man, that last conversation that we had last week, maybe 2 weeks ago now, was absolutely amazing about goal setting and all of that. So, everybody, welcome to Callings and Careers. This is Callings and Careers, where we focus on Christ-centered coaching, career coaching conversations. And I'm
Mhm.
Christopher Harris, and this is
Jessica Canty. I am your life and career strategist. I have a passion for helping melanin millennial women who want high achieving careers. Thrilled to be here.
wait a minute. Wait a minute. That's a curveball. Come on, Jessica. You just said, now we've been doing this for a year, so I kind of know where you're going. You said melanin millennial women.
I did. I don't know if that's a Holy Spirit led thing because I usually say melanin millennial moms because I am one
You
and
do.
that's my tribe. So I don't know. Come on, Holy Spirit. By the time we get through these points today, I might be adding some more to my moniker, if you will, what I do and how I support people.
Lord have mercy. Well, there we go, y'all. Jessica like it's a new year. I've taken my Christmas tree down. I got my Valentine's Day, my Black Christmas decorations up. Listen, Jessica, like we doing this. We making changes. Crazy.
Enhancements, upgrades.
Upgrades, enhancements. Come on, people.
Yeah.
we gonna take it to the spelling bee today. You got enhancements.
Uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh.
I love it. Y'all, Jessica and I were just talking about how long, how quickly time is moving, and really how long we've known each other now. That literally we've been doing Callings and Careers for a year now. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I
That's
think it's
really
such
crazy.
a blessing to do things that you enjoy. And so I hope that means that people who are listening are tuning into that year's worth of work that we've done thus
Yeah,
far and
yeah.
applying.
Listen,
Yeah.
y'all. I just want to make a quick plug as well. I just kind of feel inclined to say this right now. Jessica intentionally does career coaching and specifically, helping people to navigate sort of a personal touch to helping you figure
Mhm.
out where you are in your career and how to navigate those things. And she brings into that conversation mental health and mental wellness and all of that stuff. So if you are listening to us and you're engaging with our content on a regular basis, for some of you, you need to take that next step. And I want to invite you to go and go to Jessica's website, jessicacanty.com. Click the form to say, I want you to get in touch with me. I want to get in touch with you. And of course, she'll follow up with you. Sometimes
Mhm.
just listening to, we're in a culture, Jessica, that's got so much content, right? We're pushing out so much content. There's millions and millions and millions of podcasts and TV shows now and blogs and video vlogs, I should say. People are going live
Mhm.
on every platform, and we've got shorts for this and all those things. And sometimes people need to actually be challenged to take the next step beyond just listening. They actually need to engage with somebody and be coached up, because a coach can help save you money and years. A coach can help you save
Mhm.
money. So I just want to encourage somebody to do that. Um, what are we talking about today, Jessica? This is going to be fun. Tell everybody what we're talking about today.
Well, today we're recording this in January. I'm not sure when you're going to be listening to this, but we're recording this in January. The beginning of the year, everyone's doing New Year's resolutions. Everyone's talking about what they want to do differently, and that last 15 pounds they want to lose, and how much money they want to save. But today, we really want to talk about intentional career planning. What are some of those signs and signals, the doors and windows that we need to be paying attention to make the next best career move? So I'm a fan of moving past New Year's resolutions and really making lifestyle changes. So I'm thrilled about us being able to give us everyone, our listeners, some tips and pointers around how to make this something that's successful and sustainable. Those shifts and changes that you want in your career.
Y'all, Jessica says that she says that just so eloquently, like just so prim, so proper, so clean. Let me tell y'all the other, let me give y'all the uncouth version of what we're talking about.
Okay.
Do you need to stay or do you need to leave?
That part.
How do you know when it's time to stay? And how do you
Uh-huh.
know when it's time to leave? Last year, I think maybe in September, maybe it was August, Jessica, you actually did an amazing job. We had a whole conversation about the Great Resignation, and you talked about that. And we're still dealing with the effects of that, right? The fallout of that, the domino effects of that. It's still very much on people's minds. It's impacting how employers are now setting up and structuring their work environment, their work days, their work weeks, the benefits and things of that nature that people are offering now as a part of the benefits packages when they're offering jobs. So it's very, very much in front of us. And it's like, if we would be honest, or at least, I know that you will be, and I'm committed to it as well. There's a lot of emotion that goes into whether or not, man, like, is my season up here? Right? Is it time for me to go? And there's this quote that talks about wherever you are, be all there.
That part.
Wherever you are, be all there. And yet we have to admit that even though you can be all there in your work, sometimes it's just human nature to kind of pause and say, okay, what's next for me? How long am I going to be here? And that reality, we haven't done a lot of talking about that as a culture. I don't think we've taught people how to be fully present where they are, but think about their next, or even prepare for their next. I don't think we've properly taught people how to stay after seasons where you felt that you were supposed to leave. I don't think we've properly taught people what it looks like to have healthy ambition. And of course, our conversations are Christ-centered. So, we have, how do I want to say this? I think we've made people feel condemned for having healthy ambition in their professional life. And I think we need to talk about it. And I don't think we've actually properly taught people how to leave well. I think so many people have seen leaving bad modeled so consistently that we feel like we had to blow the place up and tell everybody off on our way out the door. And you ain't got to do that.
I definitely second that notion. Consistently when I'm working with my clients, a lot of them suffer from analysis paralysis. Should I stay or should I go? And to the point of the quote, you've got to make your mind up. And if it's in the world, that it's probably some diluted version of what the Bible says. And the Bible says we can't be double-minded. You've got to be able to decide, are you going to stay? What it would look like to stay. And I can't wait to get into those places to talk about how to help you to do that. Or are you going to leave? And you're absolutely right. As you were talking about people not leaving well, I was recalling a video of an employee of a store quitting over the intercom system. I've seen pictures of people sending a card to their boss and say, my condolences for your loss, I quit. So we are seeing multiple examples of people doing things that are for theater and not for real life. So
that's just, let's call it what it is. That's just petty. That's petty.
It's messy. It is. So yes, that's not a high school class. In school, they're not teaching us, how to quit. In college, they're teaching you how to get a job. They're not telling you how to decide if that's where you're supposed to stay. So, a lot of times it's just real world experiences that have given us crash courses in what our career looks like. So I do think it's a necessary conversation to have. It's like, should I stay or should I go? Am I in a space of being ungrateful because I'm even asking the question? And people can throw Bible verses at it. If God put you there, then that's where you're supposed to be. So it's just, how do I decipher if that's where I'm supposed to be?
Yeah. It's interesting. I think I'm comfortable going on record saying that maybe over the last 10 or 15 years, as I've engaged with people that we pastor and people that we lead and people that we influence, by and large, I think that many people, I'm not going to say most, but by and large, I think that many people leave too soon. I think they leave too soon, and I think they leave without a plan.
I second that. And the reason why I say that is because of the end result. So people get on that hamster wheel of keep finding positions that they're not satisfied with. And a lot of times it's because you're choosing distractions over destiny. And so you keep on getting into the thing.
Whoa. Come on, Jessica. Don't be like, bam. What?
Over and over again, because initially in our first sessions,
over destiny. Come on.
That part, and unless you deal with that, you're going to keep picking the same job. Of course, it's going to be a different name on your paycheck. It may be a different building you're going to, but there's a reason why there's repeats. There's a reason why. And so, leaving too soon or leaving without a plan. And so just some generational lessons that you may have learned based on when you were born. Some people, some generations say you don't leave a job till you quit. I mean, you don't leave a job until you retire. And then some generations are like, if I don't like the job on the first day, I'm gonna quit. So some of those things, some of those factors into it as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Unfortunately, some people literally, I think they because they're held accountable, they call it toxic. And that's not the same thing.
It's not.
Yeah. Let's jump into it. We're gonna give you guys 8 things today that we believe should be considerations. Let's call it that, considerations, before you pull the trigger and finalize a decision of whether to stay or to leave. We're not advocating staying or leaving. We're saying here's 8 things you need to consider as you're deliberating and processing and pondering whether you should stay or whether you should leave. There's a song. Who wrote that song? Should I stay or should I go?
Should I go? Is that like one of those 90s songs? And now that song is gonna be stuck in my head. I'm about to go look it up on YouTube now.
Or is that a jingle? Is it a commercial, like a commercial jingle or something? I don't know. We'll have to look it up and see. Yeah. So here's the first thing, Jessica, I think that people really, really need to do when they first start thinking about whether or not they should stay at a job or leave a job. And this is going to be hard for a lot of people. And that is pause. They should actually pause and be committed to doing the hard work of reflecting and thinking and pondering where they are, who they are. We're going to get into some of that other stuff in a moment. But I think the first thing that people got to do is pause. Because I think when you just make a knee-jerk reaction and you make a decision, you get up this morning, you say, I'm going to quit. I don't like this job no more. And then you quit immediately. You just made a rash decision. That was really a rash decision. In other cases, I think some people actually, and you said this earlier, some people actually pause too long. They wait too long, So yeah, I think the first thing people need to do is pause.
And I support that idea of pausing. I saw the other day on a social media platform where someone made the joke that some people are ready to quit their job just because they're tired in the morning. And I was like, yeah, people do make those decisions. And there are rush to judgment, or, my lunch break isn't long enough. And so that means I'm going to quit today. I'm not going to come back from my lunch break. And Charles Stanley often preaches halt. So if you're pausing, you should halt too. Don't make a decision when you're hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. So in that pause, ask yourself, is it really just that I'm angry that someone said something to me reckless? Is it really just feeling, that I'm feeling lonely in this position, or I'm overall tired? I got the Sunday scaries and Monday just doesn't seem like I can bear it. You do want to make sure that you're pausing, not flipping over tables or giving impromptu, I quit notices.
Yeah. That's so good. That's so good. We don't like to pause either. We want to make a decision right now. Let's do it right now, right? But the timing of that is really important. Let's move to the next one.
Yes,
and
please.
Everybody that listens in today, they're going to notice the alliteration in our points today. They're going to notice that. All right. So the first thing is you got to pause. You need to pause and reflect and think and just sit in the moment for a second. I think number 2, you got to ask the question, where's my purpose and my passion right now? What is, here's a way to think about this. And I don't want to over spiritualize it this way. Now this fits within the purpose and passion point. And what's the burden that I can't shake? Because I think we have a job description at every job that we have, but I think we also have a kingdom job description at every job we
Mhm,
have.
mhm,
And
mhm.
there's something that God calls us to when we are on these jobs, and we really have to reflect on how this is impacting our passion and impacting our purpose.
Absolutely. I do think it's important that we take that pause to investigate the passion and the purpose, because oftentimes when you are burdened by something, that may be where your passion is. So for instance, if you are struggling with figuring out, well, I like this, I like that, I like this, and I'm not quite sure where I should go, what my passion is, and you've got 10 different business ideas and 20 different projects for your company, you want to slow down and ask yourself, what are people coming to you for? What are they seeking your wisdom around? What is it that you can just get lost in? What are you excited about doing? What do you find yourself even watching and reading and listening to? Because a lot of times those are the key indicators of where your passion and purpose are. And again, there might be things that have shifted in your agency or in your organization that don't allow you to access those things anymore. And if you're pausing, you're reflecting and seeing, maybe that's why I'm not able to access my passion and my purpose. But if you
Yeah.
if you are asking, I'm not quite sure what that is, definitely ask yourself that question. What is the thing that people tend to come to ask you? What do you think about this? And what is the podcast you typically lean into? Or even looking at your subscription services on the television. What is it? What type of media do you typically consume? They may be key indicators to what your passion and purpose will be.
That's so good. That's so good.
Mhm.
So number one is pause. Number two is purpose and passion. I think number three is you got to ask yourself the question, what's happening with my plan? Do I have a career plan? Do I have a career
Mhm.
trajectory? And I know that one of the things that you do as a coach is you actually help people develop a career plan.
Absolutely.
When you start thinking about the emotions of the moment, whether I should stay on this job, leave this job, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, you got to start asking yourself the question: if I leave, am I leaving prematurely? That will impact the long-term career plan that I've set for myself. Because the plan, if you've done it right, is right, irregardless of your emotions.
Mm. You just
Right?
stepped on some toes right there.
Maybe, you know,
Uh-huh.
I think we got to learn how to stick with what we said we're going to stick with beyond what we feel in the moment. And
Mhm.
so many times we're driven. The power of that pause that we talked about earlier will help people say, you know what? Let me get my emotions together. Let me acknowledge them. Let me name them. Why am I feeling this way? But also that my feelings don't dictate what I do and how I do it. What's that quote? There's a quote that I read. Um, Emotions are great friends, but terrible dictators.
Mm. That's some good stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm, mhm,
yeah.
mhm, mhm.
So talk about this plan piece for a moment, Jessica. What do people need to consider when they think about a career plan?
One of the things that you need to consider about your career plan is not just the immediate future, like, I don't know if I can make it to Friday, but what's the next 3 years look like?
Mm,
Because a lot of times that's why New Year's resolutions fail, because people are only thinking about, okay, how I want to look in my swimsuit in the summertime, or, how much money I want to have saved up, whatever that looks like. But in 3 years, why is this going to be important? One, that's going to tell you whether or not it is important. If you can't see yourself thinking this is going to be important in 2026, or if you can't see yourself even caring about what someone has to say about you in the workspace in 2026, that's also a good measure of whether or not you're being guided and governed by your emotions. So I think it's very important to slow down and say, okay, in 2026, this is where I want to be in my career, and then sort of reverse engineer it. Okay, so what would that
mm.
look like? What do I need to do in 2023 to begin to get to 2026? Because surely, like we said, we've known each other for over a year now. The calendar is going to march on. And
Yeah.
a lot of times they're only thinking about this goal right here. I want this bonus, I want this promotion, which I want you to have. I want you to have that bonus. The cost of eggs is going up. So I want you to have that bonus. I want you to have that promotion. But in 3 years, where do you want to be? And so if you can sit down and spend some time mapping out what that plan is. Do you want to be in a different administration? Do you want to be in a different position? Do you want to have more career flexibility? So what do I need to do in 2023 to begin to do that? Literally put it out on the calendar. Not just, and listen, I'm a fan of vision boards. I'm a fan of, putting the vision in front of you. But okay, so the first quarter 2023, what should I be doing for the 2026 version of myself? And if you got the calendar, go ahead and map it out for the entirety of the year so that you have that plan in front of you.
Yeah. Another, that's so good, Jessica. As you were talking and as I'm just kind of reflecting on it, I think we have to get to a place where we acknowledge that we can no longer be mad at God for the opportunities that he presents that we're not prepared for. Like, because like, but if you think about it, right, like God doesn't present opportunities that he hasn't given us space to prepare for.
That part.
So did we waste the time of preparation, the time of planning? One of my most favoritist Bible verses in the Bible, and I got a bunch of them, but Luke 14 talks about if you're going to build a tower, you need to first sit down and count the cost, seeing whether or not you have sufficient to finish it. And I love this in the Bible. This is always, the Bible is funny to me sometimes, because at the end of that verse, Jessica, it says, because if you don't count the cost, people will walk by and make fun of you that your building is half done.
And surely people will. That person's been in the same position. They didn't train their replacement, and they're becoming bitter over there because they didn't count the cost. And they definitely do. People talk about you in the office. So if the Bible says it's going to show up in the real world, they'll talk about you. That's why she don't eat with nobody, because she didn't get the promotion, or she wasn't ready. Hadn't done what she was supposed to do to be able to meet the requirements for whatever position you're looking for.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And surely our time is going now. We got to move along, because we just at point number 3 and we got 5 more to go. So I think this is really powerful. So what about performance? What about your actual work? Has your work been taking a hit? Have you taken a hit on your work? And I think that's important, because sometimes we can get into a season, just humanly speaking, where maybe you don't need to leave. Maybe you need a break. Maybe you need to, reconsider how you're doing your work. I was reading this article that was talking about professional athletes in multiple sports: hockey, basketball, baseball, football, all of that, where sometimes they will have their trainer, or their trainer will have them stop their workout for like a day or 2 days, and then start a brand new, totally different workout than what they did before, because they don't want their body to get so used to the previous training that they did that their body becomes almost, used to the status quo. When we get to the status quo, we don't push as hard, we don't train as hard, we don't, whatever. So I wonder sometimes if that doesn't happen professionally. I don't know. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. Performance evaluations are how your management determines whether or not you're meeting their requirements. But it's up to you to make your own standards, your own internal compass as to how you want to show up. And so a colleague of mine, we were talking about, moving our clients along. And one of the points she presented to me that I think is important to even consider in your career is to ask yourself the question, what do you want to keep, shed, and grow? And so when you're thinking about keep, shed, and grow, you want to think about even in your physical space. Are you keeping old paperwork? That can make it easy to not want to go to your desk. Have you even, begun to shed the things from 2020? Do you still have your 2022 calendar up? It's time to shed that. And so what things can you grow in? Do you have your planner for 2023? Do you have the projections for 2026? So when you're thinking about the performance evaluation, remember your boss is not thinking about your career trajectory. Oh, I love it. Look, mine is right next to me. Mine is right next to me as well. So your boss is not thinking about your career trajectory. Let's say they're really an awesome boss. You might have an awesome boss, but for the most part, they want to know, are you doing your job in this season, in this calendar year, in this fiscal year? So if you're thinking about your own performance, ask yourself, what is it that I need to keep doing? Is it keep showing up and being punctual, or keep showing up and doing the work? What do I need to shed? Is there some excuses I need to shed? And do I need to ask somebody how I can grow, or what opportunities are available for me to grow? So in that performance evaluation, ask yourself those 3 questions.
That's so good. That's so good. Y'all, we this is like masterclass level stuff right here, y'all. Y'all are getting masterclass level stuff. So by the way, if y'all are not following us on social media, both Jessica and I, we want to invite you to make sure you're connecting with us. So you're thinking about staying or leaving. You're in a place where you're like, man, I don't know, should I stay or should I go? We got to find that song, Jessica. We got to find that song.
It's gonna be an earworm now.
A what?
An earworm is where it gets stuck in your head and it's on a repeat. You don't know why you're singing it while you're brushing your teeth. You don't know why you're singing in the kitchen. It's definitely gotten into my ear canal, and now I'm gonna have to go find that song.
Where did you get that phrase from?
I didn't make it up. It was literally, I think it was a music show called Earworm, and they were talking about how some songs kind of just stick with us through generations because of the catchiness, the beat, the lyrics, all that good stuff. So now that's one that's stuck in my head.
I don't want no worm in my ears.
Neither do I. That's why I said that's the song I got. I don't have to get it out. I have to listen to it once so I can say, okay, it is a song, and I can let it go. Right? Nobody wants it.
And then when you finally hear it, you're gonna be like, man, Christopher was like so off key. Hey y'all, I'm smart. I never told y'all I could sing.
I often say that I'm a social worker, not a singer. I'm fine with that. I'm at peace with that.
So should I stay or should I go? Number one, you need to pause. You need to pause. Press pause. There's power in the pause. Number two, you need to have consideration and reflection on your purpose and God's and your passion. Like, what is God put in your heart, put on your heart? Number three, you need to consider your plan. What does your career plan look like, and that kind of thing? Number four, how is this season that you're in impacting your overall performance? Do you see your performance like declining or stagnating, maintaining the same? Are you increasing in your performance, becoming better, more proficient, that kind of thing? And let me just say this really fast before I go to the next point. It does take some time to get your legs underneath you and to get into a rhythm with a new job. Don't perceive the fact that you're not in rhythm yet with the new job as a sign that you need to leave that job. Sometimes it takes time. And candidly, the bigger the responsibilities and the bigger the assignment that you have and the more people that you're leading and influence that you have, sometimes the longer it actually takes to get into that rhythm. I've been listening to, I have a subscription to Masterclass. It's an app and a platform. And that's one of the things that on one of the classes that I just finished taking, they actually talked about that you have to give yourself some grace to get into a space where, first of all, when you're starting a job, to get into that rhythm. But then sometimes, even once you get into a rhythm, sometimes you got to change that rhythm and catch up with that new rhythm. So, and I don't know, I'm going to get this next point, but I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that or not, Jessica.
Definitely. I'm a fan of giving yourself grace and space because, most jobs is a 2-year learning curve. You really haven't been able to see the job for all it is and for all it is in each season. Like, what does it look like in the busy season? What does it look like when things are quiet? What does it look like when we are fully staffed, when we don't have all the staff? What does it look like when we have an abundance of resources? And so a lot of times people internalize it thinking that means there's something wrong with me, but you are literally learning the job. Like, you wouldn't expect to go on a first date with somebody and marry them that day. So it's the same thing. Like, you're getting to know the jobs, the ins, the outs of what it looks like. And so, I definitely say, well, give yourself that, some jobs may have a specific time frame that you need to be able to master a skill. But the internal clock for yourself is give yourself about 2 years to learn the ins and outs of the job.
That's so good. That's so good. So can y'all hear this alliteration? So we got pause. You need to pause. We got purpose and passion. We got your plan, your career plan. We got performance. Here's number 5, which is a little bit different than your performance, your productivity. Your productivity. In other words, so in performance, this is the work that you're doing. In productivity, this is what the work is doing to you. How is it impacting your health? How is it impacting your relationships and your mental, emotional wellness? How is it impacting, are you at a place now where you're like, hyperventilating when you pull up at the job? Are you at a place where you can't sleep at night because of the stress of the job? It's like, how is it impacting the quality of your life? And I think we got to really think about this from the standpoint that productivity doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help your boss. It doesn't help your job. It doesn't help the company, any of those things. And we have to consider it. I think that for those that are listening to this and you're in the United States, we're one of the most developed nations in the world that totally minimizes quality of life on a job. Like, we completely minimize it. And I think that's disastrous for everybody. I think it's really disastrous for everybody. So
It
performance.
definitely is. It definitely is. And when it comes to productivity, you sometimes people don't realize until it's already settled in that it's affecting them. So I want you to ask yourself a couple of questions. Are you finding yourself overeating or not eating enough? Are you finding yourself are you having inability to focus when you're at work? Are you
Yeah.
always saying I'm so tired, experiencing fatigue? Do you find yourself snapping at others? Do you find your view of the world or view of the work is starting to become jaded? If so, that productivity is being impacted, and you are actually experiencing symptoms that are aligned with anxiety, depression, and burnout. And again, not a lot of jobs have anything built in to say, hey, you are experiencing burnout. We're noticing this. But you may be noticing that you're calling out, you're coming to work later, you're taking longer breaks because you don't want to come in, or the reverse. You're so afraid that if you go, like a break to you is going to the restroom. Going to the restroom is not a break, especially if you're taking your phone in there because you're afraid you're going to miss an email. So if
Yeah.
you're experiencing that, then it's definitely bleeding over into your personal life. And there is help. It doesn't have to be that way. Even if the culture of your office says, well, I only got 2 hours of sleep last night, that means I'm doing something effective. That's not being productive. Rest is productive because it produces results, solutions, and stamina. But going and going and going is not productive.
Yeah. 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 This is so good. This is so good.
Mhm.
Um, I'm gonna flip these next two really fast because I think the
Okay.
last two are two that people don't think about often. Okay.
Okay.
The last two are two that they don't think about often. So number one, you need to pause. Number two, you need to think about your purpose and your passion. Number three, you need to have a plan or consider your plan as you're thinking about whether to stay or to leave. Number four, how is your performance? How have you been evaluating your performance? Are you able to get the work done? Number five, your productivity. How is the work impacting you? This is more about like your personal health and wellness. Here's number six. Is there opportunity? Is there potential on the job? Does the
Mhm.
job offer you potential to learn new skills and to develop new habits and to network in a better way and to make an impact in your industry or in your space? Is there opportunity for upward mobility? Have you hit the ceiling already? Can you make a lateral move to just change to another department to stretch yourself? I was going to say stress, I'm
Mhm.
sorry, but stretch yourself, right?
Mhm.
These are all questions that you need to be asking about the potential of the job, because if you feel like you've totally capped out, if you've not even considered, have you totally capped out, then one of the things that could be happening is you could be at a space where you've maxed out in that current role and you no longer feel the challenge in that current role. So now you
Mhm.
feel malaise. You feel stagnated about actually moving forward and being able to grow. And when you think you may need to leave, in fact, you may need to just make adjustments.
Mhm. Mhm. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's so good, huh?
And our day-to-day jobs, it's harder to see that there's other opportunities within the agency. So are you coming out of your cubicle? Are you eating your lunch at your desk and not going out and having a conversation with someone? Have you participated in the latest brown bag conversation that's happening in your workspace? Or the other thing is, if you don't see it, are you designed to create it? That's the
Mm,
question you want to ask too. I'm
mm.
noticing this is a gap in how we service our clients. I'd like to be able to pursue this as a project. So you're almost writing your own job description too. If you're not seeing it, you may be designed to create it.
That's so good. That's so good. I
Mhm.
think these last two are imbalanced. And let
Okay.
me tell you what I mean by that. I think the number seven that we're getting ready to give you, people never do. I shouldn't say never. People
Mhm.
very rarely do. And I think number eight, people overdo.
Mhm.
And so I think this is going to be good. So number one, you got to pause. Number two, you got to think about your purpose and your passion. Number three, you got to think about your plan. Number four, you got to think about your performance. Number five, your productivity. Number six, your potential. Here's number seven. Have you actually stopped to ask and consider what the people who are wise and mature and further down the road than you, what are they saying? I'm not
Mhm.
talking about strangers. I'm talking about people that know you, because it's
Mhm.
amazing how people outside of our own head can recognize things like, you know what, you ain't ready to leave that job. Go sit down somewhere and get yourself together. Or you should have left 3 months ago. Or you should have left a year, right? Like they can offer that wisdom and that perspective on
Mhm.
us that helps to move us further along and give us perspective that otherwise we might not have.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, we have over 70,000 thoughts a day. And so our thoughts can tend
Whoa,
to
how many?
70,000 thoughts a day, over 70,000 thoughts a day. And quite
Wow.
often, those thoughts are only supporting the previous thought. So I should have quit. Yeah, you know, I should quit. I should have quit. You know what? And so we can justify our thoughts because those thoughts keep coming in to justify them. So you definitely want to seek the expertise of others. That's why I talk about the Career Executive Board. That's why if you, again, I'm a bit biased, but if you have a therapist, you want to be able to talk to them about it. You want to seek counsel from your pastor or your spiritual leader in your local church. You definitely want to have their conversation in your head as well, because again, you don't want to lean to your own understanding, and quite often the Lord will speak to you through other people. So you know, go ahead and break up those intrusive and repetitive thoughts, and give yourself a refreshing. The Bible talks about it all through it. You know, when you seek wisdom, you're bound for success. But if you're only depending upon your worldview, you're bound for stress. So do you want success or stress? I don't know about y'all, but I'd rather success.
Yeah. I'm thinking about that verse in the Bible in Proverbs that says, um, those who walk with the wise become wise.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we should value our careers so much that we're not willing to make decisions that involve us moving or transitioning without the care and the concern of inviting others into that journey with us.
Absolutely. I'm not one to operate in fear. I am one to operate in intelligence. If you're not asking the questions, or you're not paying attention to the job market, you're not seeing that people are being laid off in mass amounts of people. Thousands of amounts of people are being laid off. The last 6 months, a lot of people in the tech industry have been laid off. Just the other day, I saw that McDonald's has a completely automated McDonald's. No humans are in it. And
I
so,
just read that article this morning.
mhm,
Like
mhm,
they got
mhm.
one person in the whole building. That's
So
it.
check the landscape. Check the landscape. Things are shifting and changing, no matter what profession. So that's the tech industry and the fast food industry, right? And so they're two different industries. They might meet in the middle or an occasion. But if you're seeing that, you do want to make sure that you're moving in wisdom before you jump out of frying pan and into the fryer, or whatever the case may be, so that you are avoiding some of the pitfalls that your counsel may have experienced.
Man, that's so good.
Mhm.
That is
Mhm.
so good. That is so good. And it's wisdom, right? It's like, I think sometimes we do things in a bubble. We process things, make decisions in a bubble. And I think we really, really need to be mindful of that. So on one end, I said number 7, people don't do enough, I don't think. Right. And I'm talking about
Mhm.
wise people. I'm not talking about talking to your sister friend or your boy over some wings. I'm talking about
Uh-huh.
people that know the market, that understand your industry, your space, that are again further down the road and can offer the wisdom that you need. Um, I think if we look at number 8, I think people often make number 8 number 1, and we
Mhm.
prioritize that one. And that
Mhm.
is the money. We
Mhm.
make it all about the provision, right? What you
Mhm.
gonna pay me? And I've seen people sometimes, and I'm not saying that you always have to pick either or the other, but there are times that you need to check your instinct and your gut and your peace and say, you know what? This job may be $5,000 less, but my quality of life is going to be 10x greater,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Or
Mhm.
this job, the salary may not be as much, but the benefits in the benefits package is 5x greater than the other job or the job I'm leaving, right? I think part of what I'm saying is, and this is maybe countercultural from a career perspective and even a mental health perspective, you can correct me on this, but I think we sometimes get addicted to the salary and miss the other stuff.
Mhm. Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. From the career side perspective, absolutely. That's why a lot of people are discontent with the job, even though the salary says one thing. Because the other thing is, you got to remember that number says that, but that's not what you're going to get on a paycheck every 2 weeks. You know,
Yeah,
yeah, and it doesn't say on the paycheck how much blood, sweat, and tears you have to put in to get that paycheck. It
yeah,
doesn't say how long they're going to keep you at that check, and if that's the only compensation you're going to get, even though you've poured more and more into it. So absolutely, I've worked with clients over and over again to determine what is it that you want. Definitely go for what you want, especially if you're a woman and you're a woman of color. Ask for more than what you think you need. So a lot of
yeah,
times, if you think, if they're saying 60K, you're like, I'll take 60K, bump it up at least 10 to 15K. That's just a whole nother salary conversation we can have. But the question is, what do you want your life to look like with that salary? So going back to that 3-year plan, what do you see yourself doing on a Friday? Do you see yourself having to have a meeting at 4 o'clock on a Friday, or is that not going to fly for you? Okay, so asking that question, do you see
yeah,
yourself being stressed out because you're trying to rush to get off of work to go get your children at 5 o'clock in the afternoon? So maybe you need a schedule adjustment. Maybe you need remote work versus telework. There's some gray areas between that as well. So you really want
yeah,
to ask yourself those questions when it comes to the salary and do the numbers. Because sometimes people go for the salary and they're not satisfied because the salary wasn't going to cover with the lifestyle that they thought they were going to have. So crunch
yeah,
the numbers. Ask yourself what your monthly expenses are, and you want to make sure that you do that according to the year and then times 2. So you want to make sure you have that cushion, that savings, so you don't feel so pressured to stay in a job that no longer serves you.
yeah. That's so good.
Mhm.
One of my mentors, Jessica, I was having a conversation with them, and they said to me, here's this is them talking, right? I'm listening, and this is them talking, and they said, I think people underestimate problem solving when it comes to their salary,
Mhm.
because the better problems you solve, the better your pay will be.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Man, and
Keep
I'm
that
sitting there
mentor.
thinking about that, huh?
So keep that mentor. That was some good wisdom.
Yeah, because I'm sitting here thinking
Mhm.
about this, like, people, I've been on the other side of this table where I'm the person representing the HR, so to speak, and having to do that salary negotiation, determine benefits and packages and all that. I've also been on the other side of the table where I'm doing the negotiating. And I think I've heard people say before, well, I feel like this offer undervalues me. And on
Mhm.
the other side of that table, I'm saying, but what problems have you solved? What problems are you proving that you can solve?
That
Don't
part.
tell me how much you're worth if you're not solving problems in an innovative, creative, disruptor kind of way.
You're hitting the nail on the head, which is why over and over again when I review resumes, I consistently say, what transformation did you cause at that agency? What
Mm,
language tells them how much money you're going to make them, how much money you're going to save them, how many clients you can reach for them? It's not all about, the experience. They really want to know, well, what did you do with experience? So what transformations are you creating? And again, it's all about dollars and cents. So when you're ready to talk about that promotion, when you're ready to talk about negotiating the salary, you want to bring to the table the innovative things that you have brought to other work experiences. But you won't be able to do that if you don't know what your passion is. You won't be able to do that if you haven't sat down and made a plan.
that's so good, so good.
Mhm.
From a ministry standpoint, those that are listening to this that are actually in ministry or church space, one great leader, faith leader, said recently, it's hard for you to make a lot of demands. It's hard for you to make a lot of demands when you haven't demanded what you're demanding.
Hmm.
Right? In other words, have you proven
Mhm.
that you have the work and the muscle and the capacity and the character and the track record to put the demands on people that you're putting on people? Because
That
if you
part.
haven't, then you gotta stay humble. You can't be arrogant making demands and you haven't proven anything.
Hmm. Can't tell you how many clients have come to me with toxic bosses that are doing that.
Yeah,
We're come up with unrealistic deadlines, unrealistic expectations. Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I,
Follow that
and I
wisdom.
don't know that we've done a lot of talking about that today, but that's a reality, right? So it's this. So when we talked about the productivity, like what the work does to you, your physical, emotional, mental, relational health, your wellness, we didn't spend a
Mhm.
lot of time under that point talking about this, but I think that's something worth at least addressing very, very quickly, and I'll let you do that. that there are times that we work in toxic environments, and it is in
Mhm.
fact it's damaging to your health, and you need to do something about that. Not saying that immediately means just leave the job immediately because it's toxic, but at least you need to start thinking about, is there what's my exit strategy look like here, because it's actually impacting my health, or impacting my character, ability to make wise decisions, whatever that looks like. So I don't know, what do you want to add to that, Jessica?
So toxicity is very important to pay attention to, because it does seep into all of those factors I told you to ask you questions about: your appetite, your energy, all that good stuff. I think a lot of times people don't realize that they're in a toxic environment unless it's overt toxicity, unless someone's yelling at you, unless someone is insulting you, or you're aware of microaggression. But the covert toxicity is also there, and it can be quite personalized too. It's a toxic environment if your skills are literally atrophying and you don't find joy in the work that you're doing anymore. Now you're being toxic by not being able to be your full self. So it kind of plays on itself, where, I don't know if the chicken or the egg comes in first. But yeah, you want to be aware of those covert toxicity things. And a lot of times it's hard to determine it because you see everybody else being treated the same way. So that's where you want to go back to that counsel piece and get assistance from your career coach, your mentor, from your therapist, from, whoever your role model is, to be able to help you to make that exit strategy, to recognize what your role and responsibility is and what the role and responsibility of the job is. But staying in toxicity is not going to make you get any better.
That's so good. Y'all, we gave y'all 8 things to think about today when you're trying to determine whether you should stay. Should I stay or should I go?
I almost had it out of my head. I almost had it. And then you want to end with that.
Pray for me. Just pray for me, Jessica. Just pray for me. You should know by now. Like, this is, this is what it is. Listen, y'all, this is Callings and Careers, a bi-monthly career development coaching platform where we're committed to making you think about how to pursue your purpose and how to do this in a way that honors the calling and the gifts that God has for you. We want you to discover your calling and then develop in your career. We want you to discover your calling and then develop in your career. That's why it's called Callings and Careers. And so we're honored to be able to do this on a regular basis. We've got some incredible conversations lined up for you here this year. We've laid out the entire year, and we're very, very, very thankful for that. Thankful for what we're going to be dealing with and how we're going to be covering things. As a matter of fact, in next month, we're going to be talking about relationships that fuel your success. What kind of relationships do you need on your job that's going to actually fuel your success? So you want to jump in and be a part of that. And we do this during lunchtime so that you can join us while you are eating your salad, or for those of you that are fasting, your water and your crackers or vegetables, whatever the case may be. Some of y'all, you're not eating anything. You're like, Lord, I'm going all in. So y'all are shaking because you ain't had your coffee. And what's that phrase, Jessica? You hangry. They're hangry.
That's a real thing. That is a real thing.
Yeah. You need.
So don't quit your job because you're hangry. Don't quit your job because you're hangry.
Yeah. Get you some of these. Get you some of these right here. Right. That's mints, y'all. By the way, get you a rag and wash your face. Put you some lotion on. Put some chapstick on and keep it moving.
Absolutely. Moisturize as necessary.
Moisturize if necessary. Yeah. I told somebody the other day, Jessica, I was like, listen, if anybody ever offers you a mint, never turn it down. I don't care whether you think you need it or not. If they offer you a mint, thank you so very much. I sure appreciate this. Always.
I second that. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So, Jessica, tell everybody where they can find you at really fast. So that if they want to connect with you, they can do that.
We can connect on social media at Jessica Canty. We can also connect jessicacanty.com. And hey, listen, why don't you shoot me an email, jessicacanty@jessicacanty.com. I love to talk about your career and where you want it to go.
That's so good. That's so good. You can check me out at ChristopherJHarris.com. I would love to connect with you. I've got a couple other websites and platforms as well, but you can connect with me there first at ChristopherJHarris.com. If you're listening to this and you are thinking about a job in ministry, or you're in ministry and you're thinking about how to navigate this process and all of that, you can check out diversechurchjobs.com. We'd love to connect with you as we help people of color, in particular African-American, Hispanic, and Asian, find incredible ministry opportunities. And so this is Callings and Careers. We'll be right back with you in 2 weeks. Back with you in 2 weeks, talking about the relationships that will help to fuel your success in your career. Jessica, I'll give you closing remarks.
So excited. Listen, go back, hit play, hit pause, make sure that you are digesting this and share with a friend. You know, it's always easier with an accountability partner. We're here to help you. We're here to make sure that your New Year's resolutions are a new lifestyle and they're actually something that are sustainable, and you can do it.
Yeah. So good. So good. All right, y'all. Well, listen, everybody have an amazing day. We'll see y'all the next time. Make sure that you go over to YouTube, subscribe and follow us and connect with us. Make sure you follow us on social media, and we'll see y'all the next time. Peace.